Hello Star Wars fans and other people alike. This is a review of the Ezra Bridger lightsaber. So for those of you who don't know, Ezra Bridger is the main character of Star Wars Rebel, and he has a really cool lightsaber when he just starts out. I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who haven't watched it, but he does change lightsaber later on in the show. But his initial lightsaber was a combination of a blaster and a lightsaber, which is what this little device here is. Now let me just quickly give you a tour around this toy. So as most Hasbro lightsabers, they have this 3-position switch for off, demo, and on. In the off position, that just means if you were to press the ignite button for the lightsaber, no sound or light will come out of it, and no sound will come out of the blaster trigger. But unfortunately, you cannot control whether or not the bullets of the blaster comes out, because that is a spring mechanism that's not electronic. So if you still have it in off position, do keep in mind that the blaster bullets will still be able to shoot. And then when you put it in the demo mode, as the name implies, it just kind of demos all the sound effects and the lighting of the lightsaber itself, and then it will just go back to turning it off. So this is just to show it off, obviously, in stores. And then the next position is obviously on, which means you can use it at its full potential, so igniting the blade, de-igniting the blade, and then shooting the blaster with the sound effects as well. This toy is electronic, so it's powered by 3 AAA batteries, which do come included straight out of the box. From my experience, these batteries do tend to last quite a long time. If you do have kids or fans that like to play with this thing 24/7, then obviously it's going to run out a little faster. For every occasional use, every now and then, it definitely can last quite a few months. Now let me discuss more in detail of the two parts of this lightsaber, the blaster and of course the actual lightsaber. So let's talk about the blaster first, because it's really the unique thing about this particular lightsaber that no other Hasbro lightsaber has ever been designed. So it comes with a total of 6 bullets, and these ones are just soft plastic. It can definitely hurt a little bit if it's a direct contact, so I would definitely be careful around young kids. In fact, I probably wouldn't use this around young kids. There are additional 4 spots on the blaster itself that you can use to store the extra bullets, because you only can fire 2 bullets at a time. So if you do choose to load 2 bullets, once you pull that trigger, both of them are going to fire at the same time. You can't control firing one or the other. So if you only want to shoot 1 bullet, obviously only load 1 bullet. For the most part, I think the blaster design is pretty good. My only complaint is that there's no safety at all. So just where you hold the lightsaber naturally, you're going to put your finger on the trigger button. So if you're trying to just play with the lightsaber blade and not fire off those bullets, then you have to make sure you position your hand so it doesn't touch the trigger, or simply do not load the bullets when you just want to play with the lightsaber itself. Now moving on to the lightsaber blade. So it is a 3-part retractable type, and unfortunately the full blade doesn't retract all the way inside the blaster, which is a really big downside in my opinion. But you just flick your wrist to ignite the blade, as with most of this type of lightsabers, and then you can see the trigger button is right there where you would place your thumb. As you can see, when you ignite the blade, it doesn't come up in sections like other more expensive lightsabers, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But at the price point at around $20 on Amazon, I can understand why. So that's not too big of a deal. However, there is a lack of even light distribution, which I definitely think they could have included a much stronger LED light. It just looks very underwhelming, especially in dark situations. Another downside to the design of the lightsaber blade is how difficult it is to retract. And as an adult, I had a difficult time trying to retract this thing. Can you imagine a little 10-year-old trying to retract this? It's going to be a nightmare. Every time they need to retract the blade, they would have to get an adult to help them out. I think this is definitely something they cheaped out on. The joints in between definitely could have a much better retractable point. This is supposed to be designed around kids, so of course the blade length extended is no longer than 4 feet. Which is totally fine, especially since the blaster portion is already quite big itself. But what doesn't disappoint about this lightsaber is definitely the sound. So when you ignite it, and also it flickers when it strikes something hard, and it just also has a little bit, it's not perfect, but it has kind of a motion sensor in it that when you wave it around in the air, it will have a little bit of a different sound, so it definitely does give you kind of the experience of a lightsaber that every kid loves. So final thoughts on this lightsaber: it's definitely the most unique lightsaber in my opinion. There's definitely nothing else like this if you wanted to get an Ezra Bridger lightsaber. It does everything for the most part what you want. There are definitely flaws here and there that I can't give it a perfect rating. But it is a really fun toy to give to a fan and also to kids because it is quite durable. This is made out of the plastic 3 retractable design, which is a little bit more durable than the more expensive ones that I have reviewed in the past. If you guys are interested in my other lightsabers that I own, like the Kylo Ren one and also the Anakin to Darth Vader color changing lightsaber. If you're interested in those, I'll have thumbnails at the end of this video so you can check them out as well. But for overall, this Ezra Bridger lightsaber, I think it's super unique. Definitely not flawless, but if you're looking for this type of lightsaber, this is really the best one you can get.